Hello everyone. First of all, thank you for taking time to watch this video. This is in continuation with the work that I have been doing on influencer marketing with webinars, and today we'll be discussing on elements required to run successful webinars. And if you have been watching my videos, then you know that I pay a lot of attention to the webinar content, and nothing is more important than webinar content. Webinar content is a make or break in your entire webinar strategy. Right from deciding the webinar format, webinar topic, whether the webinar content is addressing the buyer stages, webinar is addressing the challenges. All that is important, and even more important is to get to a stage where your webinar attendees are able to walk away with key takeaways. So the first one on this list is the webinar content, and when you look at the webinar content, remember that your webinar attendees need to walk away with key takeaways, and that those key takeaways should be aligned to the promises that you have made in your webinar promotion strategy or during your webinar promotion. So make sure that there are clear takeaways from your webinar, right? And I have the simplest way to do this is begin with the end in mind. So when you are creating the webinar promotion strategy, make sure that you list down what are the key takeaways that you want the webinar attendees to walk away with. What are the things that you want him to do the next day on his job? And that's why you should look at the webinar content in a more holistic, with the end in the mind and all that. The second one on this list is the webinar infrastructure. Right now, this is no brainer. It is important that you have solid infrastructure behind you. Now, when we talk about infrastructure, we'll start with the webinar platform itself. Make sure that your webinar platform allows you to do certain things that are important for you. Now, it could be, from creating landing pages to the import-export facility to the ability to ramp up, ramp down according to your marketing needs. Make sure that your webinar platform allows you to do all of that, including the screen sharing, whatever requirements you have, right? Within the infrastructure, we look at the system performance. There are webinars that which require screen sharing of enterprise class applications or multiple applications or a 3D or a animation or something like that, and you want to make sure that your system doesn't hang. So make sure that you have enough system capability to do your webinar successfully. The third one within the webinar infrastructure is the audio quality. You have to pay attention to the audio quality. If your webinar attendees are not able to hear you clearly, they might lose interest, and you are probably hurting yourself. So make sure that the audio quality is great. And the last one within the webinar infrastructure is the video quality. So make sure you have a solid camera or a webcam if you are presenting face to face, or if you will be using a camera. The next one on this list, after webinar content, after the webinar infrastructure, is the background and space. Now, you need to make sure when you're doing a webinar that you are in an environment where the interruption is minimum, and whatever interruptions you can anticipate, you eliminate those. And if you need to inform somebody that you cannot be disturbed during that time, then do that. You put your mobile or everything on a silent mode or do not disturb mode, and make sure you have a very appropriate background. Your background defines your marketing goals and objectives. So for example, if the entire objective of your webinar is to promote your logo, then make sure that your logo is you have a background with your logo and with your company and all that. But if you are trying to achieve something else out of your objective, then you do it friendly. Make sure your background is appropriate, and it's not an interruption to the webinar. So those are the some of the successful elements that require some of the elements that you require to run successful webinars. I hope you find these helpful, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.